All right.
Don't get on your horse.
So, got most of the resin cleaned off last time. I did notice a couple other small things that I wanted to fix or clean. You guys will probably hear my kids in the background playing video games because this is the room I have to use. So I got these areas under here that I noticed the knife will go right through. So my guess is that those are supposed to be cleaned out. These two areas down here. And I just wanted to trim out a bit more on this side here. As I was test fitting it, I noticed that there's probably some extra, just a little bit on the side there. This side looks pretty clean with that stuff removed. So I'm just gonna take that off on here. Don't want that stuff showing when the model gets all put together. So that stuff's cleared out. Now for under here, this probably isn't something you really have to clean. I don't think many people will see, but I'm kind of a perfectionist, so. Looks a little more open now. The same thing over on this side. I'll probably end up finding more spots that I'll want to clean up as I start actually assembling. So I'll keep my knife handy for that. The other side. And this last bit here. This is inset pretty deep onto the model from this point, so it's hard to get the knife up in there. So let's finish this off with some files. Knock the camera over. Yeah. These are longer and can get in there flat. Double half round. Full half round. Just flatten it on the bottom. Get some of this stuff out. Not really sure if I'm happy with how this is down here, but I'll start putting it together and see how it looks. And then if nothing else, I might use some glue on there and just kind of zip kick that and use that to flatten it out.
Don't leave your stride
All right. So I can kind of see straight through there. I don't think that really is something that anyone has to do, but make those look more like they're not molded into the deck, but are separate pieces supporting it underneath. All right, onto the metal.
backwards.
All right.
Move the other way. This one.
So
Ah.
I prefer using a hobby knife to files on metal whenever I can. Just
I'm just gonna.
carve and then smooth the other side. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I'm kind of trying to keep half an eye on the stream so I can spot any comments. Smooth out the bottom so it sits flush. There's a little bit of a mold line right here.
There's no more. Oops, forgot one. There's one more. There's one more.
All right, and then around the wheel itself. Let's scrape the back of the blade across it. The front of the blade for slightly larger ridges. I don't see any particular spot where Skar's hand is going to go. Probably wanted people to be able to put her wherever.
Oh, God. Can't do anything anymore. Who's that? I feel like something is stuck in my throat.
So the plan is clean all the metal pieces, wash everything, and then I can do what many people have asked for, which is show use of heat to get the main lower deck portion flat.
Can't do it.
can't count the number of times I've cut myself doing stuff like this. Over the years, I've learned how to be more careful and cautious and not put your finger like here when you're cleaning, for example. Just keep everything out of the way.
Now you can shoot.
Things like metal and resin tend to be tough to cut through, even though the knife moves through it, until the point where your finger's behind it, and all of a sudden it slices right through. Not really seeing much on the inside that has to be cleaned out. Just run the blade over it quick and make sure that anything there is smooth. Alright, that's that piece. Got these two deck pieces. Look pretty good. Tiny little bit of flash down here. Clean that off. Bit of mold lines I'm seeing are really not going to be very visible. So again, I'll just kind of run my knife over it. Don't want anything that'll pop out to me. Nothing worse than starting to prime a piece and then paint it and then find all the mold lines you missed.
What?
All right, one set.
I have left. Is that how much breath I have left, Mom?
Yes.
I'm not going to take this. Get on your strider. Now you're not sick. Now you're not getting sick.
And that's all going to be hidden when it's connected.
You're just so not good. Hey,
That's what
we're not getting it.
All right.
Way up here? Yes.
Stixes.
I'm just gonna...
So there's just got a bit of flash through there. Looks like along under her arm here, there's quite a bit of flash. Right around through here. So we'll start with getting that out.
Ooh, this one's good.
It's all pretty good. That's intentional. You can see by the rivets.
What are you gonna get?
Now this is obviously not going to have a spot to slot down onto the ship, so this tab has to go. Haven't decided if I'm going to bother pinning them down. I probably should. That'll be after the boat's put together. Now I'll just make their feet flat.
It says I'm getting...
A little bit of flash around here.
How am I getting farther away?
It's hard to tell if that's flash, but Looks like it's part of the front of her boot. Little mold line and flash here.
Okay, show me your map. Because you're going down to go up and around.
All right, a little bit of flash on the arm there.
It's fine, Nick. It will lead you away for just a moment. And it'll lead you back more.
Mold line on her horn.
What are you doing?
Let's see if this under here is flash. Looks like it is.
Don't. Just run over it.
Smooth that out.
Don't just take my time. Oh. Don't do this. Oh my gosh. That's jumped.
And more in the back here.
Oh, I'm not gonna fall.
Yeah, that doesn't look intentional there.
I'm not gonna fall.
It's not skin. It's not a belly button. This is kind of bodice. It goes all the way around. Can leave a little bit of a line there then because there's the line there, the line there. It'll just blend in with all that. The spot on her belt can be painted like another belt loop. This spot here I want to smooth out because this all here looks like it's
Whoa, that's cool.
there.
Nutritious.
Piece of flash right here.
This location. Why? Oh, because it's. What? Can't it? What is that?
What?
What is that noise? What is that rumbling? I'm just gonna get back to my. No. Those are called mounts. That's just.
A little right there on the sleeve.
I guess it'll have to go around.
Alright, she looks pretty good. Let's see if we can find which one's her horn. That one curves back.
You can't get.
That one also curves back.
Tyler, get down. Cover your mouth when you talk, please.
Too far away, man.
That one curves forward and up, so that's potential. Where's the last one?
Stop.
It's over the hill,
Well, either way. Just glance these over. Not many mold lines on these. Honestly, they'd probably drift into the pattern of the mold anyhow.
Not that way. And this way.
But I do rely on washes quite a bit on the horns. So I'll just make sure. If anyone is making comments on where I had shared the video, I won't be able to read them right now. If anyone is making comments on the video itself, then I should be able to see it. So if you're watching through a share, you might want to click through. Put your comments there where I can see them and respond. Otherwise, I'll respond when I'm done.
That way goes a little quicker. And I don't want my speed to know I did this.
A little bit of flash on that horn.
What? Good.
Yes, that explains it. Now I can see a comment. The horns.
Here's what?
Well, I'm just going to clean them all. I mean, I'll put them together when I put them together. Either way, they're going to need to be cleaned up, so.
That way.
And they all have one horn on them, so you just got to find the one that matches.
Want to kill you, tried it?
All right. That one's pretty good. Is that flash or is that intentional? It looks intentional. If it doesn't match when I put it together, I can always trim it off. Good to hear. All right. This is Skar's leg. So that one goes in here. It actually feels like a really tight fit. Like that almost holds in there when I let go, which is pretty impressive for metal. But let's take a look at her. Some flash on the sleeve.
Can't see.
Just got a glove on with rings. Or some kind of mail. It actually looks like some kind of metallic gauntlet.
Need rock.
Pretty good on the mold lines there. Tiny mold line running up the face, just on the cheek. Clear that off. Put it in the middle where my camera can actually focus on it. Bit of a mold line on the horn, and once again, I rely really heavily on washes for the horns. Washes will make mold lines freaking glow. All right, hair. So there's a bit of metal chatter up here because that's a lock of hair. Just gonna clean some of this off. Underarm looks pretty good. I'm always on the fence about these that are really well cast with such minimal mold lines because it almost makes it harder to find. Like, at least if the mold line is prominent and I can see it, I know where they are, I can follow it all the way around. Sometimes worry that I missed.
That way.
All right, and once again, there's not going to be a hole in the deck for her foot for this tab, so that's got to come off. Stop it from flying across the room. Just make it flat. All right, here's the back of the boot. Has a mold line. Just carve that off.
Trading with merchants. This is a merchant.
All right, so that looks like vertical piece running up the back of her boot and not an unintentional thing. And then she's got a detail along the edge of the cloak, but there's a bit of a line right around the outside here.
When can I play? It's too fun.
One line there. Flash there, get rid of that. Smooth that out.
Kids, which one?
You already bought one then.
Wait, I'm looking. Can't buy any of
Just
them.
run the back of that blade over that to get rid of those.
So why are you trying to buy another one?
So. Now what?
Don't sell that.
Why? This one?
I would hold on to the hearts.
What about this?
No, you might need that.
All right, around the gun blade. There's a piece that curves up here. I think there's just a little bit of flesh on the tip of that.
Go back over.
Here,
I would sell that.
Let's see.
Obviously, she's the centerpiece on the model.
Wait, I'm just gonna.
Barrels in a bit.
Yeah, that works too. Now over.
More line there.
No, go back over. No, keep that. Okay.
Everything else, if there's anything, is hidden pretty well in the hair.
Over, down, over.
All right.
That's a tiny.
Okay.
That one?
No.
Keep the blaze canister.
Okay, let's just keep all that stuff.
Let's see. I'm just. I'm trying to look. Can't buy. This one. That's what I was looking for. But I don't have enough. Maybe I should.
And you don't have a grazer heart.
All right.
Razor? Oh yeah, I didn't kill razors. Wait. Maybe I should what is it? Maybe I should There's fire.
Not much else on this. That's pretty clean.
Oh. I need crafts and more arrows.
All right. One of the thing in the air. Caught my eye first is the blade. Back is actually really clean of mold lines. That's usually where you find them, is along the back here. There are some on the hilt. Pommel. And then looks like a good deal of flash down here at the bottom.
to your quest.
All right. A little bit right there. Sleeve.
No shirts. Maybe I should. I'm glad I killed those machines. Jump.
Bare stomach.
I'm not gonna
Bare leg.
take this.
Once again, get rid of this tab.
Rock, pick up rock.
Just check how flat it is. It's pretty good.
Jump. Jump.
The more I'm looking at this, the more I think I'm going to have to pin him down. I'm not a big guy on pinning. I'm typically the glue everything together. The first time it breaks, glue it again because you might have just done a not very good job the first time.
Can I see?
After that, I
You
pin.
go all the way to there.
But this might be one thing I do pin preemptively is these feet. Not really planning on picking it up by them either.
Don't need to.
You keep bouncing. Please stop.
Okay.
But
Oh yeah.
all right, I think that's pretty good.
I'm just looking for everything.
Body last. Start with the tab again.
Got one parasol. I'm looking for
Left
parasol.
some of that. Just trim that down so that when I glue her down, you won't be able to see. Big piece of flash right there. Came right off.
You have to go where you have to go. Now. Gonna have to go where you have to go.
All right, no mold lines showing. Oh, there's a little bit on the back of the cloak here. Right there.
Go.
Darn. How do you get in again? I do.
All right, let's see.
Campfire. Too bad I can't.
Clean off some of this here.
Because I didn't move.
Tyler. Tyler.
What?
Wash your hands.
I'm just gonna look around and see if there's anybody. It smells like fire in here. Who fired it? So,
A bit more cleaning on this. Get rid of that line there.
I'm just gonna go. Ah, back that way. Yes, they're being cruel. Cruel. they're making you go that
Except
way.
for that,
They want you
there's this
to.
little skull thing that goes on Scar's backpack.
Really, Riku? Get down.
Jump. Jump. I'm good. I'm just gonna grab the red food just in case.
Done. And the last leg.
How did you do that, Meg? I just ran and then I pressed
It's an intentional line in the fabric.
what? And then I pressed
Skull knee pad.
Huh. Don't do it.
Alright. That's all the metal pieces. So I'm going to set up to wash everything and start another video at that point. So start a bit.